Hello, today is September 9th, 2014, and I'll just read my interview aloud with Object Reporter. And if anyone joins, I would be happy to chat a little bit, but it is intended to be brief. So, my interview. Object Reporter is just a nickname of someone, also called D. He says, Max Stenberg, PhD, is the author behind two recent books, Celestial Signs and Welcome to Earth, A Guide to Aliens. In his book, Celestial Signs, Dr. Stenberg introduces the alien abduction phenomenon, discusses objectives of the human ET hybridization program, our ways to help the abductees, and possible involvement of the hybrids in our future. Dr. Stenberg takes the notion of contact to the next level, discussing possible scenarios of our near future, involvement of different associations of star people, peculiarities of exopolitical workings, as can be seen from channelings and reports of contactees. He also highlights involvement of humans in this ongoing process and possible ways for individuals in participating in the formation of their future. The object reporters are going to pick Dr. Stenberg's brain today, delving deep into three hot topics, the internet buzzwords of ufology at the moment: telepathy, hybrids, and ET contact. Hey Sabrina. Agent D. Max, I was impressed with the concept of your book Welcome to Earth, A Guide to Aliens. The clever title alone is a preview of outside-the-box thinking going on here. It reminds me of Richard Dolan's book After Disclosure, and that it is just one of the topics that must be covered in this time of unfolding contact. Max, I'm saying, much of what I do is inspired by Richard Dolan. Richard and I are members of Rochester UFO Meetup, and he is my role model in many ways. I wrote my first book because of his example of applying scientific thinking to write books on the topic. While Richard was focusing on Earth, I focused on the hybridization program and four-dimensional biology. Hello, everybody. I just stepped for a second. You can interrupt me at any time if you like to discuss anything.
Hi, Max.
Hey, Prana. Thank you for joining. You can interrupt me at any time to discuss anything. I'm still reading my interview. I don't think I will finish today. In any case, while Richard's sources were government archives, I relied on channelers and abductees. As he was writing his book After Disclosure, Richard presents his ideas to our group, and this inspired me to write my own version and a sequel called Welcome to Earth. Again, Richard wrote about what will happen on Earth on day one after disclosure, and I wrote more about what the aliens can do to make the contact better in the first weeks and months after the contact. I also cover what we as Lightworkers can do to make the ET contact peaceful and successful. I'm really thankful to Richard and our U4 meetup for their inspiration and support. The fact that Richard Dolan was initially a writer who successfully ventured into television inspired me to go live on YouTube and create Human Colony TV YouTube channel, which brought together many like-minded light workers. A Guide for Aliens addresses two major concerns we have when dealing with ETs. The fact that they are highly telepathic, and we are not. and the unfortunate reality that most humans have been brainwashed from birth with misconceptions and outmoded belief systems. That's the end of my first answer. Do you want to comment anything? Pran and Sabrina, hello. All right, I will continue, but we can interrupt in any moment. Agent D asks, do you feel this is a telepathy issue we humans must overcome, and do you believe this is even physically possible for Homo sapiens to catch up to our ET cousins, to become as telepathic as they are, given the fact that they appear to have transhuman qualities? And my answer. I know the answer pretty well, and it would take only one line, but I do need to explain how I know what I know. And this ought to be outlined properly. There are three main sources: testing telepathy in humans experimentally, abductees and channelers, abductees, contactees, and channelers. So three sources: testing telepathy in humans experimentally, abductees, contactees, and channelers. You see, telepathy can be tested here, and this is very solid data. Reports from people who visited the ships are still pretty real, and channelings are sort of real, but they have the qualities of collective dream. Not everything which sounds solid in channelings manifests here down below. So some things do, and many things don't. So some things do manifest and many things don't. It's not only that we speak to other dimensional beings, it's also that our human collective mind collectively decides which of these communications to manifest down here and which to abandon. We are talking about multiple timelines and manifesting collective beliefs into our physical reality. It's quite a different mindset, akin the mindset of the movie The Matrix. Please understand, what we hear from channelers is not individual fantasies. It's our collective dream, and a portion of this dream gradually manifests. So when we research these dreams, we have to keep in mind that even most stable patterns in them can change with time. This is the nature of our reality. It's malleable, fluid these days. Yet we learn much from speaking with fourth-dimensional beings via channelers, and some messages and explanations from up there make a lot of sense. Any comments so far? All right. So let's start from the most reliable data, human studies. Most expect telepathy to be uniform, or would you expect telepathy to be uniform or having many various forms and flavors? Rupert Sheldrake and Dean Radin are two of the best researchers and enlightened scientific writers on this subject. Check out their books on Amazon. They are under $20 and give a great idea of the research on the topic. As Sheldrake noted, one of the best examples of telepathy are pets who read our minds. He came up with wonderful, scientifically solid study designs to measure this kind of telepathy. Another sort of telepathy is between humans. Imagine yourself being a telepath. How would you communicate best? By reading someone's mind? How deep would you get into the mind? Would it be every thought, or only the thoughts intentionally sent to you? What would facilitate the receiving of the thoughts? Do you need to be close to the person, or distance doesn't matter? Do you need to look at their eyes? Do they need to look you straight in the eye? Would it help if you placed your hands on their head? Would it help to know the person? Would it be working only for very close people? Do the two people have to speak the same language? Would it be a text transmission, a text, or an image, or an idea beyond language, or in intent, or in emotion? Would it be any thought, or only the thought which is important for both of you? Is using of telepathy for selfish reasons permitted by nature? I often meet telepaths and offer them a test. I take a plain card, a small object like this, or a picture, look at it like that. What do I have in it? What do I have in my hand? Right? Look at it. Where am I? And ask them what I'm seeing. And I'm sending you a telepathic message. What is that? Now I'm testing you. What is that in my hand? All right, here's the answer. Did you guess it right? Привет, я тут, у меня вебинар. All right, so when and ask them to guess what I'm seeing. We then trade roles. You see, since the information transferred is not important, and since we don't know each other well. All right, here is another test. What's in my head? Are you telepathic? I'm looking at it. It's important for me. I like it. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do you have a guess? What?
It's a pen.
A pen?
Yeah.
No.
Something metal.
Something what?
Metal.
Yes. I mean, when I picked it up, there was a sound, so you might guess.
I didn't hear the sound. Sorry.
All right. So what is this?
It's a forceps.
All right. I actually had a forceps in front of me. So, but this one was a.
Okay, I was close.
All right, let me grab something else. That was fun. Here is something else. It is very unusual thing to see here, but it just happened to be here. What could it be? What color, what material, what is the shape?
It's red or green. I see two colors. I don't know why. Oh, wait. Actually, you know what? Hold on. You should hold it like right next to your sunglasses. Someone might see it in your glasses, reflecting on your glasses.
Oh, possible. All right, whatever.
Okay, all right. So it's made of plastic.
Shape? I don't confirm or
right.
Otherwise. Just tell me what is the shape.
The shape is little. It's not round. It's a little elongated. It's a little. I don't know.
Is it filled inside or empty inside?
Empty.
All right, so it's a rubber band. It's for girls to put.
Yeah. See. Okay. So it's rubber. Oh, it was okay. It's empty inside.
Max, did you have that? Did you have the rubber band like kind of twisted in the middle?
It wasn't.
No, okay. Because the way what I saw in my mind's eye was kind of like an hourglass, but that it looked kind of like an hourglass shape. It was to me, yeah. To me, it wasn't necessarily a circle, but it was looking an hourglass in it.
I have another object. I don't judge you. Just it's an exercise for yourself. I don't judge you. So what's in my hand? It's something I like. Something I like.
Okay,
I often use.
I see either penny, a nickel, or a paperclip. Again, it's metal.
Any more ideas?
And I'm just going with my intuition right away. Like I'm not waiting, trying to focus in.
All right. Any more ideas?
I feel metal.
What color? Metal? All right. All right, I will show the answer. It's a candle.
Ah, candle.
It doesn't focus by some reason. It should focus. It would focus like that. Yeah, it's a candle. All right. So let's just. Do you have any more comments? So I'll continue reading, and at the end of the paragraph, I will ask for comments. So and ask them to guess what I'm seeing. We then trade roles. You see, since the information transfer is not important, and since we don't know each other well, the success rate is low. The results are barely above random. Barely above random. It's not random, but barely above. Sheldrake and Ryden review many well-designed studies and demonstrate that there are some people and pairs of people that have telepathic connection. But our telepathy, although it can be measured, it's very tiny. The telepathy is tiny. In a sense, by design, at this stage, we are permitted to see miracles, but they are rationed, limited. And here is another thought about the nature of reality. Is it really that you read the mind, or maybe you read the future? Telepathy versus clairvoyance. Maybe it's not that you receive the communication from another person about the card, but you receive a glimpse a few seconds into the future when a card is revealed. And another possibility, or maybe you change the future to show you the card you want. There are all interesting properties of the matrix we live in. Dean Radin and Lynn McTaggart explain it all pretty well. So in brief, the conclusion from the studies is that some humans down here can read minds and speak telepathically, but barely. I invite comments here.
I had gotten a game for my phone, and you know that it has the little cards, and you're supposed to guess which one it is.
I have the two, maybe the same one or different. It is. I have the one by someone Russian.
Okay, but the interesting thing is when I'm guessing, I don't do as well as if I pick a card, and then I'm telling it. So it shows very often. So I can make that card show up more often that I can guess which card it is.
Same thing I'm telling, yes. Somehow people can affect random events. It is a very well-studied phenomenon, yes.
You know, I think in that case what's happening is you have a set to pick from. So you already know what you have. So that's why when you pick the answer, then the answer comes. Whereas this random guessing is something that you have no idea of.
No, like, but it's not enough. It's not enough. I say I can change it when I get more than 7 of the same one.
So you can affect what comes out.
Yeah, because it's limited to how many times you can do it. You know, like one game. I don't know. I don't know if it has 10 or 12, and then out of the 12 chances, I get at least 7 of them with the same card.
Out of how many cards?
And there's like 4 or 5 cards. 4 or 5 cards, I think it is.
Oh, so out of 4 or 5. So there's only 4 or 5 different cards. So of course the probability is very high in that.
No, because when you're doing it guessing, it doesn't show up as many times as that.
No, this is algorithmically very. This is algorithmically or mathematically, of course, like, you know, the chances of them coming same answer for 1 out of 4, out of 12 chances is a lot higher. Whereas in guessing, you have no idea of what Max is holding. It could be any shape, color, metal, material, you know, all that stuff. So there's it's just very different example, I think.
Do you see what I'm saying? When you have the cards, the same card doesn't show up when you're just playing the game. The same card doesn't show up more than 2 or 3 times. When I choose to influence it, it shows up. You know, I can make it show up a lot of times. That's what I'm saying. That's all.
Yeah, and that's only out of 4 cards, right?
Pardon me, Sabrina. I definitely can relate to your idea and resonate with it because since I live over near Reno, you know, there's gambling. I've never been, you know, into the whole gambling thing. However, with blackjack, it's really intuitive based, and what I do is I walk around the casinos and I just kind of feel for the energy of the table, you know, and then if it feels really good vibes, high vibration, I'll sit down and I'll just kind of just start talking to the people and just connecting, and the more I'm able to connect with them and the deal flow. I only had probably out of like 10, 12 times that I only go in with money to when I win the money that I was that away, and then I playing with, and I win. You know, I have 120. I tuck 60 away, and I keep playing with the winnings, and then every 20 to 30, I'll just keep on tucking. And I've noticed that the more I'm connected with the people at the table, the more fun we're having, the more we're able to, as you say, influence the cards, if you will. And it just makes it a lot more fun. You know, you don't have to be a card counter or whatnot. If you're having fun, you're in the moment, and you aren't. And the thing I do also is, if I could take the hit, so to speak, take the bad card or bad cards so the rest of the table can win, then I'm all for it, you know, and that's actually assisted me in the game, because people have offered me money to stay in just because they felt that I was the good luck charm, you know. So it's led to a lot of fun nights, you know. It's just going there and starting at like 7 at night and not leaving until 7 in the morning, and like $300 in my pocket when I started at like 40, you know. But I definitely resonate with your idea and that fact, and we definitely have influence. The more we're in the moment and really high vibration, we really can. All right, guys, what do we all need in here? What do we all need? We need a face card, or she needs the face card, you know, and it just makes it so much more fun. Thank you for confirming that idea for me, because it just solidifies, and I've really been wanting to go and experiment with this again lately. However, I need a little bit of money to do that. So I'm putting that out there for the universe, and it's happening. I feel it's happening in this moment, so it'll be fun.
Yes.
I just wanted to answer to Prana that I believe that Sabrina didn't pick from only 4 cards. I think she picked from multiple cards.
Yeah, I was asking that question because I wasn't aware. I'm not aware of that game, and I thought she just said 4 cards, so I was just asking for the confirmation.
Sabrina, if you can send Prana your the name of your program on the phone, then he can figure it out. But I agree that there are ways to affect the outcome, and this has been studied. It's the scientific research has been studied. You know, have been done in many ways. Most of that, not surprisingly, has been done in England, but most famous is the one which started in Harvard. And there they started trying to prove that it doesn't exist, but they discovered that there is an effect of personality on what comes out. And usually the effect is small. It's like 1%. Say, if you flip a coin, on average you would get 50%. So and it is a very tedious process to flip a coin and write down the results. So they created a device which was electronic, and it flipped a coin electronically, and the device was calibrated to produce exactly 50% outcome. And then that was when basically the person was just pressing the button every time and trying to affect this 50% to raise it higher. So you get like heads more frequently than tails. And usually people were able to shift it to 51%. And because flipping is very automatic, it can be done at high frequency. It can be done the result is very statistically, it's possible to calculate the statistical significance, and the significance was real. So this extra 1% was significant according to statistics. Some people, very talented, could move it to about 54%. And if it was two people who are very well aligned to each other and who have emotional connection, like people who are in love or people who are close family or very close friends, they could move at about 57%, and it was really well documented. So when two people move, it's about 57%. So at some point, creator of this study was traveling around the globe and trying to measure the effects of groups of people on the outcome. And the result was basically how coherent the results. It doesn't really matter if it is heads more frequent or tails more frequent, but it is something very improbable that happens, something very coherent, not random. So his best result was at certain event in Germany, I think it was somewhere in Europe. I think it was Lovers of Wagner or a composer like that. I think it was Wagner. And this event took place for about a week, where music was played and passions of the listeners were on a very high level for about a week. So at the end of the event, when the passions and coherence of that group was so high, then they got extra, I don't remember the number, but extra extreme number of percent. So just being there with this device would allow him to measure that stochasticity, randomness, and chance was decreased in a group of people which are very synchronously tuned to each other. And they studied it on global level, and here is the site, Global Coherence Initiative, where so this graph actually is not coherence of random events, it is electromagnetic distribution of vibrations of Earth, measurable. And you can see the classical most frequent one, this lower band. If you can see my mouse, yeah, you can see my mouse. The first lower band is 7.5 hertz. It's like that is the main harmonic of vibration electromagnetic field, which basically resonates between this ground and stratosphere. It can goes up and down reflecting. So that's 7.5 hertz, more or less. The frequency is I know the frequency. The way it is generated, I'm not sure. Could it be something like their penetration between two different sides of the Earth? But you get that frequency, and then there's a harmonics of that double, that triple, that quadruple, and so on. And on different days, you can see these frequencies have different maxima. It can shift up and down. The vibration can go up and down. And they place these devices all around the globe in different cities, and they measure their coherence in different places around the globe. And they see the spikes when events happen, like September 11th attack caused the coherence in response. Like after the attack, there was a coherence in the way people thought, and during certain political events, people start thinking in a more coherent manner. So they measure that, and they see a lot of correlation between different things, like what events happen, spots on the sun, and things of that sort. Any comments here? All right.
Just listening, Max.
Uh-huh. I will stop that demonstration just a second.
Yeah, but I understand. I have read those before.
Uh-huh. I think Dean Radin reviews it, and there are a few, Sheldrake and a few others who review that. How do we cancel it? I need to cancel my. Oh, all right. You see me.
That's why, nowadays some of this light workers are asking people to meditate all at once at a certain point, so that that vibration becomes much higher, and the effect of it.
And there is an importance of holidays where the whole community is doing similar things and thinks about similar things and pronounces similar prayers, and they kind of synchronize in common thought pattern. So holidays, religious holidays and things like that. All right, so next.
On that note, the way, like, I mean, how Vatican, in Vatican, they have like these masses and gatherings and stuff, but their purpose of that gathering is completely different. It is more for energy harvesting. So they have different agendas, so that's what I have heard. Or like in the mosque that the Muslims go to, I forgot that place, the square, the black square in God, I forgot that's the name of that place.
Mecca?
Mecca, yeah.
I guess it defies the society. I cannot say that it is useless. I would say that something has to be there. If people don't have a unity, then it has to be invented. Another thing is that the society and the earth is evolving, so we need now new ways which would better correspond to the current state and current goals of the species. So on one hand we want to unify, on the other hand we want to keep the diversity. So unification is important, but in the way how it is done and what is hidden, it is also very important.
Right. The intention behind is what is important.
For example, I'm very, many people don't feel happy about schedules and timing and being late and certain time for work, certain time for rest, and certain time for Saturday, certain times for Sunday. So I always wondered if Sunday and 7-day week is something natural or artificial.
I would say that's artificial.
Yeah, I didn't find anything in nature which would be 7-day period. Exactly. There is a period of moon which is 28.5 days. It's not exactly 7 days, but it is. So it's also 4 weeks make about moon cycle, but it is not linked. So moon calendar is very natural, and full moons, new moons really affect the people. But the week is sort of shifted a little bit, so it's never the full moon is sort of never fixed to a specific day of the week. So moon calendar would be, I guess, most natural for humans, but 7-day week is something artificial. I asked the aliens, and they answered that it is either human-made or alien-made, but it is not accepted anywhere outside of Earth. There is no other civilizations which would have a 7-day week.
Right. My idea is like if there's a job to finish, as long as the job is finished, that's what it matters. It's not about, it has to be certain days that needs to be worked on.
On the other hand, I respect Jewish tradition of keeping Shabbat. It's like once a week you remind yourself and teach your family, teach your kids that this day is devoted to God. And that feels very nice, but on the other hand, why don't you devote every day to God and every hour to God?
That's what I was going to say. If the God is within you, that means you have that God, and so just remind yourself of every single moment, like whenever you have little time, why do you need a certain time? You don't. That's all cultured.
On the other hand, I wouldn't say that the fact that the cities need to synchronize, and there should be some schedule. I agree, there should be some schedule. For example, like store the stores open at certain time and close at certain time allows people to the city to breathe. Like the stores are open, people go shopping, the stores are closed, and people clean up and take a rest. So that makes some sense. But there are cities which are open all day and night, like New York City or Moscow.
Right. Yeah. That's the point also. Like it makes sense only if you are fitting to that timeline. But if there's the store is always open and there's always somebody there 24/7, then like people can come in 24/7. Right?
Yeah. I think it's with internet, it makes a lot of sense that people don't have to be bound. I really love that ability to follow your own biological clock and not to be bound by
absolutely
artificial ones. Yeah. All right, I will move with the questions. Agent D asks, we have many cases in which human abductees have reported having strong, purely telepathic communications with ETs aboard UFOs and outside of UFOs, but in their presence. And is this a possible indication that humans have hidden telepathic abilities after all, as you have just suggested? Or could it simply be assistance via unseen technical means used by the visitors? Answered. Contactees and abductees tell much about telepathy up there. The aliens can speak telepathically. Some of them look very human. Sometimes they put the thoughts into you when you don't see them, and sometimes you have to see their faces to understand what they speak. Sometimes they speak your language, and sometimes they put thoughts into you which are beyond language. It really helps telepathy to be on the ships, most likely because you get into a somewhat higher dimension, which is more conducive to telepathy. Communication with the aliens up there helps to retain some of the telepathic talent when coming back to the ground. These are all facts from personal experiences, not channeled. I have hosted an abductee support group for a few years, and I have learned that much firsthand. Some of these interviews I published on YouTube, period. Hey Brian, any comments here or questions?
My understanding or what resonates with me is that yes, we are all telepathic. We have all that telekinesis power, and it is all within us, and it's just been suppressed or modified. And once the so-called veil lifts or this control system goes, most probably we will be connecting with that again, and we will be what we once used to be with all that powers. And all this electronics, like for example iPhone, all that stuff is merely just a reflection of what we used to have at one point. Because right now we can send emails instantly, right? And if we have telepathy, we could already do that. We don't need some electronic gadget to do it. And just by a mental projection, we could be somewhere and we could be talking to that person, or we could be watching, astrally projecting somewhere and understand everything. The interesting thing is Beatles have a song that is called there's a song, it says, I forgot the name of the song, something inner something, but the lyrics of the song is basically like saying knowing without actually going outside the door, understanding everything without actually living where you are, and also just the further you travel, the less you become connected. So I think they are talking about astral projecting yourself and what you can understand and learn and opening your third eye. That's actually is the coded message behind that song, I think.
Let me read it. I just found it. The Beatles, The Inner Light.
Yes, that's the song.
Written by George Harrison. George Harrison. Without going out of my door, I can know all things of earth. without looking out of my window, I could know the ways of heaven. The farther one travels, the farther one travels, the less one knows. The less one really knows without going out of your door. You can know all things on earth without looking out of your window. You could know the ways of heaven. The farther one travels, the less one knows. The less one really knows. Arrive without traveling. See all without looking. Do all without doing.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, that's basically looking within and connecting to yourself and your inner light. That means connecting to your higher self and the third eye. Sabrina, yes, please go ahead. Sorry.
Max, I have
Hey.
a question for you.
Yay.
Do you think that the humanity as it stands right now, non-hybrid, well, obviously we are hybrid for a long time ago, but non-hybrid, you know, within the last couple of you know, decades, do you think we are able to have the telekinesis, you know, telepathy, all of these different abilities within us, or do we need to become hybrids in order for them to become fully activated?
All right. I think I'm answering that question just down below, but I will answer it now and then I will repeat it by reading. So I don't know, of course, but I asked the aliens about that. And again, Pran, you are speaking from your own perspective, which is, I think you're very advanced, so you really have the telepathy hidden. And Sabrina and I might have this telepathy hidden, and it sort of wants to come out. And we have moments when we feel it. We feel it, you know, feel information coming through. Now, I asked about that. I think I asked several times. I don't remember who specifically answered, but I think it was Lakesh, Takur, and Dizdu who were speaking about that. And they said, you know, they measure our telepathic abilities related to Yahyel, just because it's easiest. So Yahyel are very telepathic. Now, they say that our best telepath, the ones they sort of trained in the colonies, was about 70% of Yahyel, and it was a lot. And they didn't want to push him further because it would damage him. Basically, our body is not designed to go there farther than 70% of Yahyel. It's a lot. It's just kind of amount of information that goes into you, and vibration is so high that if you come back to Earth, it's really hard to be grounded with that amount of telepathy. Other telepaths which they had at the moment, it was about half a year ago, they had about 15, ranged between 30 to whatever, 50% of telepathy. So they could pass the telepathic messages, but not as well as Yahyel. And they said most of humanity is like 0 to 1 to maybe 2% of Yahyel. So sometimes something goes through, but it's very random and very infrequent, and it's very noisy. One thing we discussed, and also there is a nice book by Adrian Dwyer, it's called X3, and he discusses telepathy a lot there and the biology of telepathy. Basically, there are telepathic languages. So when people in certain race speak telepathy, they use certain telepathic language to deliver information. So you can speak telepathically English, or you can speak something else, but it has to be something that you send and that the receiver receives in the same pattern. So most of the humans, we don't have that. We don't have this telepathic language developed. And they said for adults, it is almost impossible to reach high percentage of telepathy. Some telepathy is possible, even with technological help, without technological help. Say certain percent is possible, but you have to be born and develop the telepathy from the childhood to be fully telepathic. So the answer is in between. We are not fully incapable. We're not fully capable. We are somewhere in between, and I guess it would range radically for different people.
But Max, couldn't one argue that?
Sabrina goes first. Yes.
Couldn't one argue that, let's say you started practicing, you taught your children from the very beginning, yes, and the next generation would be even better because the muscle, if you want to call it that,
yes, it's muscle, yes,
yeah. So you're using that, and as we progress, we would get better and better at it.
Of course. That's why they give us about 200 years to ascend. Ascension, their definition as essential is telepathic unification of the species. It's a necessary requirement for us to raise vibration, collective vibration. We have to together knit together so the vibration becomes higher. I don't have anything vibrating around me. Say when it's loose, the vibration is low. And even if you spin, the vibration is like slow. When it is tight, the vibration is very high. So when it bound together, the vibration becomes really high. I guess that is a good example. That is low vibration, right? And that is high vibration. It's like on a string on the guitar. I will bring a guitar show.
Yes, the guitar model works well.
So we get low vibration. And then we kind of shorten the links. Just because the ties are closer, the distance is closer, the vibration goes higher. And from guitar we can get even higher with a smaller string. And also, if you on the guitar, the highest I can get is that. Like, I don't know if it passes through the microphone, but it's barely hearable. It's almost.
It does. It does.
It is the highest. So the shorter the link, the higher the vibration is. It's kind of simple physics, which is even obvious mechanically. So we have loose individuals. When we tie together, the links become really short, and we kind of vibrate all together as new entity. Bashar tells about how his civilization ascended. He said, a being came, and in 3 days, the being united the whole civilization together telepathically and left. And that's how they ascended in 3 days. I didn't ask, I know. Next time we speak to Bashar, we should ask if it, or any Shakani, we should ask if it was Jesus who did that. But, it could be anyone. I don't know who it was.
But do you think...
Why would you think it would be Jesus?
It's his profession. It's his specialization to raise third to fourth dimensional upgrade. That's what he does.
I see. Okay, thank you for clarifying. And hi.
Ravi, Sabrina, you asked the question which I kind of shifted away from the question. Several generations needed to train the telepathic muscle, develop telepathic language, right?
Yes. Yeah. So wouldn't we at some point then also become, as the Yahyel?
Yeah. It's also called social singularity. People discuss that internet connections, especially this Twitter, Facebook, email connections, they make the network much more dense, LinkedIn connections. So we are doing technologically, we kind of modeling technologically what we will do later biologically. Like lots of people are connected to each other in computer games. It is some new way of communicating. People kind of meld together. They speak to each other vocally, type all the time. My kids all do that all the time. I think it is some new community which is also like modeling what will happen later. When I started emailing, I mean, my life changed. It was 1989, around 1989. My life changed radically. You know, the world from, you know, tiny world of people around you or people in your city changed to the global world. 1989 for me. It was a radical change. When I spoke, once I came to California, first time I came to California, almost like landed, and the next few days I was kind of, once I was invited to a party. These were elderly people, 1993 it was, I think. They invited me like the first, you know, a fresh Russian who is not spoiled by America yet, and they wanted to hear from me, you know, how is life in Russia, 1993. And there was a nice gentleman who was fighting against Nazis. I think he was an airline pilot or something like that. So he was had a big experience, lived a long life, and he said, he asked the question, what was the biggest change in the history of humanity in that century? And on his opinion, the biggest positive change was television. He said before the television, the war looked to people very distant. People could believe that these are ours and these are them. But when television sort of showed what is happening out there, actually it was around 1967 when the first true reports came from Vietnam War. Then the humanity just realized how the small the globe is, and that nothing is very distant. That, you know, we're all on the same globe and we're all very close to each other. So in his opinion, it was the main thing that united humanity together. So 1967 is about the time when it was unified, the humanity, plus minus, of course. Now we have another unification through internet, but again, you know, telepathy is something, yes, that is coming.
But one thing that Sabrina asked was, do we have to become hybrids in order to own those abilities? And I would say no to that.
I would agree. That's what aliens, my alien friends, say. And there were examples when humans. So basically, there is a lot of humans who have human genetics and who are brought up out there. These include a few recent, I would say, experiments. So they take human embryos and just impregnate hybrid people out there, hybrid women, and let them grow up. So this genetic humans, when they grow up in four-dimensional realities, they are fully telepathic. There is no limitation whatsoever. They are very talented, and so genetically we don't have any limit. We are genetically, biologically very programmable. It is the program that we receive here which restrains that. So as we grow, as we are programmed, then our telepathic abilities are not developed and blocked. So I agree with Prana in that. But you know, if
no, I also agree with it. I just was speaking with somebody, and they were putting forward that basically we needed to become hybrids in order to get the upgrade. You know, to put
That's
it.
I think those alien beings have ulterior agenda or motives behind it.
Why would you say that?
Just a feeling, just an intuition.
Is that based on fear or on love?
It doesn't have to be. You can be neutral. you can just observe, and you can just observe two people fighting and not be a part of that, but you can just simply observe and watch what happens, or say like, it's just observation, that's all.
All right, so that's a big question. Again, I will answer it down below in the interview, but again, it is from each perspective you look at it, and how much deception is there, and how much of selfishness is there. Like in one of my early books and videos, I say that of course everyone works for selfish reasons, even humans, even aliens. But how selfish it is. It's like there is that selfish and that selfish. For example, everybody wants to live in beautiful, loving world. Is it selfish to make a world beautiful and loving, right? So it looks like Earth is essential for the development of the galaxy and humans in the galaxy. So they selfishly want us to succeed, and then we will help them. So it is sort of selfish, but it's not detrimental to us. Others really want to take over the world. So these are basically different ways to take over the world. Some of them are very friendly, and some of them are kind of deceitful. As far as I can tell, Zeta Grays, so far I speak to different aliens through channelers, and Zeta Grays seem to have an agenda of taking over the world negatively. So yes, they did hybridization program, and they did it to other races. Basically, they inject their genes, and then at a certain point they use these genes and these implants to take over the planet and take control, and then deplete the planet of resources and leave it at worse condition than it was before. On the other hand, they created new races, and one of the races I believe they created is Yahyel, and another race is Shakani, or they created Sasani, which became Shakani, which are very positive and benevolent races. So not everything that Zeta Grays do is negative. So some of that is negative, some of that is.
So Max, how does that work? How does because they created those races, but how did they separate from them? That's what I could never understand. And become separate from the Zetas.
That's a nice question. I never asked it, but I know that I asked the question if Yahyel are different from Zetas, if they have common mind with Zetas, and clearly they don't. They are different. So Zetas sort of created them, it's a complicated, convoluted questions how Yahyel was created. So Yahyel is a hybrid between Earth humans and Zetas, but there is time loops in history which make it so convoluted, and I don't know the answer how it happened. But Zetas were key to creation of that. Basically, they contributed their genome, and they did hybridization program on Earth. So Zeta were the keys in creation of Yahyel. We should ask more about that. It was like kind of a mystery so far. So the answer is yes. These civilizations, they separated themselves from Zetas and not serving Zetas, and they kind of neutral. And I believe Yahyel are actually, most of Yahyel are in sort of Cold War state with Zetas. They have diplomatic relationships, but they don't really cooperate much.
So basically what you are saying is they are fighting with their own creators?
This Cold War is not fighting. They kind of have, again, there is tons of different Zetas, and there are different kinds of Yahyel, but the main body of Yahyel and main body of Zetas, they are not very friendly to each other. That's what I know. They're at peace. Zetas in general don't fight. Zetas are sneaky, but they don't fight. So it's not a war. It's more like a Cold War. They sneak here and there, but they have different agendas and follow different. They have very different ideas about the future of Earth. All that said, there are positive aliens, and we're in constant communication with them. Pleiadians, Lyrans, Yahyel, Arcturians, and they are very respectful of our choices, and I think that's the main criterion. They respect our collective choice and individual choices. Until a certain point, until 2012, they allowed themselves to do secret abductions without permission from physical mind. They could ask the soul for soul's permission, but they wouldn't ask necessarily for physical mind. Starting from about last year, I think actually we know the date, they don't abduct people anymore without conscious physical consent. And that shows their respect for our choices. And they really want us to succeed, and they want to help us. One of the answers I gave in my one of the first videos and one of the first books is that they actually are interested in us evolving so they can incarnate in us. When we evolve to four-dimensional beings, then it would be, for them, it would be a great experience to incarnate in us, and it's sort of decided on a very high dimensional level. It's not our physical decision, it's out there they decide. And right now we are not very interested for incarnations. It's kind of for them going way down from their higher vibration to low vibration. You can't really learn much going from higher vibration to lower dimension vibration. For example, you know, if you're a human, incarnating into a mosquito is not a great experience. You couldn't learn much being a mosquito. So for them, from their fourth dimension to our third dimension incarnating, it's not that big of a difference, but only few of them incarnate as humans. And mostly it's not to gain personal vibrational lesson, but it's to help the humanity to ascend. So I believe they are beneficial, benevolent, and their hybridization program is for the good of humanity. They, bring in their genes, Yahyel, Pleiadian, Lyran, a little bit of Arcturian, increases diversity on Earth. It doesn't serve, it doesn't help them to, it helps them a little bit to incarnate, but not much. But it brings more of talents, again, telepathic and telekinetic and similar talents to us, more psychic talents. So yes, we have that, but bringing more of Yahyel and Pleiadian brings more of this talent to us.
Max, may I ask a question?
Yes.
Have you ever heard of the harmonic convergence?
Harmonic convergence is, I will draw it for you. It was a major topic of 2012. So what it is, there is one, can you see? Well, there is one wave, right? It could be a wave, right? And there is another wave. And the key for this way convergence is that at some point they come in the same spot. And just to draw it easier, I would draw it backwards. I would draw lots of things backwards. So these are different timelines, different lives. But at some point, they all converge to one point, and then again go separately. So the idea for 2012 was that by design of our artificial reality, of our experiment, we are allowed to take any steps between here. So we have lots of free choices. But by some miracle, at that point, we would end to a very limited number of scenarios. And number of these scenarios, these are kind of blobs, but number of these scenarios, according to David Wilcock, was 2. One is good and one is bad. So there were 2 convergences. And luckily we ended, you and I, and all of you and I, we ended in a good one. The Earth survived. In the negative one, the Earth basically there was a big catastrophe there, and possibly that led to the creation of Zeta Grays, which I'm not sure, but you know, there was a story which kind of, that catastrophe led to Zeta Grays or something of that sort. But we are not there, we are in this reality. So why are you asking?
I was asking because it was talked about last night at the talk, presentation, and one of the things was mentioned, which actually parallel with you, was the fall of Soviet Russia.
Mm-hmm.
And this was an unpredicted, this wasn't a planned political move. This wasn't actually a proper change that happened, and that was one of the convergence points. And this is when a lot of the channeling started coming in to some people as well. And I just wanted to mention that because that was talked about by Lee Carroll last night.
I have another question, Max.
Yeah.
For the Zetas, if there are parallel realities, and from what Bashar has says, every time you change something, you create a new one.
Yeah.
So they weren't really changing their own reality. They created another timeline where they survive by creating the Yahyels. And do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because their timeline was where it was, so by them going into our timeline and doing what they did, they just created a third one.
Yeah. I don't know the details, but it sounds like logical. It would be nice to hear more about that. I don't know the story. Zechariah tells a nice story. He says that he was a high-level Zeta official in one of past lives. So whenever Zeta bothered him, he would tell them to go away, and they have to follow his orders because reincarnation doesn't minimize his powers over Zeta. So he still is has a right to command them. So that was very funny. So Zechariah would be a nice person to ask about Zeta history. He knows a lot about it.
Okay, thanks.
What I heard was that now the influence is minimal because Girk Fitneer is in control and Federation of Light is in control. So Zetas are permitted to be here and observe, but all their plots sort of being exposed, and they don't have many chances of taking over. So they're more like here as observers. And when we hear this high-pitched sound in our heads, like they say that is a signature Zeta presence, and you have a choice. You can say, "Dear Zetas, please step away. I don't want your presence now," and they have to follow your desire.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, it's our universe. We choose it. We choose. So.
All right. I will keep reading. I feel like closing soon, but I will read a little bit more. Maybe if I find the file. All right. All right. Some of these interviews are published on YouTube. Yeah, I interviewed an abductee. She has wonderful memory. She remembers almost everything. Because she was a volunteer, they allowed her to remember a lot, and they allow her to say a lot. Her name is Rosemary, and she is interviewed. It's published. I can give links. It's about 3 hours of interviews. And she says that she had experience when aliens talk to each other. When she looks at them, she understands what they say. And when she looks away, she hears the sound, but she cannot understand what they say. All right, Agent D, looking back on some of the earliest abduction accounts, there was a lot of abductees describing the large, liquid black eyes of the Greys being inches from their face, resulting in a strong telepathic mind meld. Since that time, I think a lot of us have associated those big black eyes of the tall Greys and perhaps biologically aiding in their powerful telepathy. Decades later, when the concept of the hybrid children began to grow clearer with detailed eyewitness descriptions, it seems that one common trait all hybrid children share are very large eyes. Do you feel like the large eyes aid in telepathy, and the genetics have specifically been passed on to the hybrid children to boost telepathy? I will show you that little drawing of mine. I drew it basically from just looking at many pictures of other witnesses. So it's a collective composition. I don't have it from my mind. It's more like from looking at many different YouTube videos and pictures. Okay. Now, where am I? All right, Max. Yes, I say yes, but it's a little more complicated than that. Here I don't know the exact answer. At future channeling sessions, I will surely ask my galactic friends about that. That's a great question, or many questions. Are the tall grays the same race as Yahyel? I assume so, but I never asked. I know that the short grays are Zetas, but the tall ones, on this picture which I just showed, Jizu said that this is a typical short gray, typical typical short gray, the Zeta. I'm sorry. So the Zetas are short gray, and that's the picture. But the tall one could be more than one gray species. But I do know that it's mostly a friendly species of Yahyel who were doing the abductions. And they look like tall grays, although they are said to have a large portion of Earth human DNA. I'll comment here that I asked Jizu recently what percentage of hybridization program was done by Yahyel, and he said 71%. One could also ask, does the size of the eyes really matter? It is important to be near. Is it important to be near and look eye to eye to do the mind meld? I suppose not. I'm pretty sure the size of the eyes has little to do with telepathy. From my own experience with humans, it is just the opposite. The people with highest psychic abilities, which are closely linked to telepathy, actually have smaller eyes. So psychics typically have smaller eyes on average, and also have poor vision. It's pretty typical that for a modern human to become more psychic, it really helps to disconnect from the world, see less physically, hear less physically, and then one can focus more on higher reality and see and listen more in other dimensions. I comment here that, what's her name? Vanga, one of the most famous psychics. Edgar Cayce and Vanga, I guess, most famous psychics. Vanga was completely blind from a young age, and she's one of the best psychics, period. Also, I suspect that, and I believe that there were messages that the big eyes of the Greys were genetically engineered to help them to see in the dark. We know for sure that for the Earth animals, it is true. The bigger the pupil, the more photons they can catch, and this helps nocturnal animals to survive. Octopuses and deep oceanic fish have huge eyes because they are to see the sparse light not from the sun, but from bioluminescent creatures and decayed organics in the dark of the oceanic depths. So my educated guess is that big eyes of the Greys and other aliens are for better vision and not for telepathy. With that said, I agree, and I know that the aliens infuse DNA of various galactic species into Earth's human population with the purpose to make us more telepathic. This is the main help we get in our rapid evolution, and it is essential for our survival as a species. Another closely related quality which we get with the DNA upgrade is the ability to function in fourth-dimensional reality. The whole Earth is shifting towards the fourth dimension. There are so-called waves of four-dimensional energy, and these infusions of galactic DNA are a great help to our species. Keep in mind that the whole transition of to four dimension is estimated to take about 200 years, starting around 2012. So we are only getting glimpses of four-dimensional reality. Much more is coming. The main quality of it, a stronger manifestation of the law of attraction. Our thoughts and intentions will manifest stronger. Our focus of attention affects the reality now much stronger than it did in the past. I will repeat. Our focus of attention affects the reality now much stronger than it did in the past. So yes, I believe some humans would receive big eyes from the alien DNA infusions, but not as a tool for telepathy, but simply as a side effects of DNA upgrades. Especially, this should affect people with the Yahyel infusions, but also possibly with Pleiadian infusions. With that said, I cannot say from personal experience that hybrid humans on Earth have bigger eyes. Those people who I know and who I believe are hybrids have normal eyes. By looks, I cannot even tell which hybrid species DNA do they carry. I believe the percentages of alien DNA are small, and they don't manifest too strongly in general. Historically, Northern Europeans carry more Pleiadian DNA. People from India, Middle East, and Africa more Sirian genes, and Jews more of Yahyel DNA. But these are only slight traits. There is so much mixing together and carrying over of genes that these are only fading traces of past landings and infusions. These days, every one of us is a mix of many races. Everyone has hidden, silent, dormant abilities, which can be uncovered either in this life or in lives of our children. As I said, the aliens predict that quickening of abilities would happen gradually over 6-8 generations. I will stop reading here. I will take the questions and I will wrap up now soon. Please go ahead.
Max, from what we learned and have been playing with, are going back to the telepathy or the telepathy. We've been learning that it's from the heart. It goes through the heart.
Often, yes.
And as we've been opening our hearts more, we've been flexing that muscle, so to say, and been having a lot of success with it, to the point where it's bringing in not just communication, but it's also bringing in a flow of life, a synchronistic, positive way of living, where everything's taken care of. Everything's now, there's these ups and downs, don't get me wrong, but it's we've all been speaking galactic languages, we've all been communicating, and we've had this love and this passion, this excitement, and this is just helping our telepathy so much. And it's such a beautiful experience what we were going through. And I would say much gratitude for setting up the site and bringing us together, because without you and Jim, we wouldn't be here co-creating this and everyone else right now.
Oh, thank you.
Talking about galactic languages, I would like to ask this question, or it's not really a question, but just a curiosity, and I would like to hear you guys' perspective on it. I did talk to Sabrina a little bit about it, now we have Tucker coming and teaching us some of the Lyran language or the words. My question is, why is that necessary, especially when if we are improving our telepathy and telepathic skills, and after the contact they will be able to speak to us directly. That means we would be able to speak to them telepathically. So there is no need for us to learn word by word or trying to make a sentence. It's not as if they're going to speak in their language and we will translate that in English to the people on Earth. the message will be telepathically given to us, and we will just automatically be able to translate in any language, whether it be English, Chinese, Japanese, American, Asian, whatever it is, depending on who that message is given to or is coming through, and what languages that person can speak. So I am just wondering about this idea of learning this language, this galactic language, or specifically Lyrian language, and learning word by word and sentence by sentence. What's the point?
I know the answer, but I would invite others to answer first, and I would then second.
What's the point in eating? What's the point in going out for a good meal? What's the point of doing this? What's the point of doing that? We heard Takar speaking through Girk a few words. Prana, please let me talk. I haven't finished.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. The reason why we do communicate, and the reason why we do want to know, and the reason why we're humans, is because we hear something new, and we want to find out more about it. The curiosity maybe killed the cat, is the word you're looking for there.
No,
So,
I think you didn't
we
understand.
heard Jin talking, Takir talking a language, so we wanted to know more. So we started doing it. We started opening our hearts to all these different aspects, all these different parallel realities of ourselves, of our history. And now we can bring that through. And we can do it. We can understand. And yes, we could talk telepathically. But that's not fun at the moment for us. At the moment, we can't. But we can show there's other languages out there and other races. And we can help the other people on this earth understand what we don't already know.
Okay, so from your point, it's basically we are just having fun trying to just learn a language. That's it.
We're following our excitements. Yeah.
I understand that.
Great
I
fun when we
mean,
do
that
it.
is what it is. Yeah, I understand that. I was just wondering why. That's all.
I invite more answers. I know more answers, so I invite you to say more, and then I would tell more. Hey, Stephen. Oh, nice to see your face.
Hello.
Have you heard what we are discussing?
A little bit. I was watching live on YouTube while I was en route. And,
so the question is, why did they start teach us Lyran language? It would be like the least useful exercise. Logically, it would be the least simplistically. It seems to be the least useful exercise for us at the moment. There are more important things. Why would they teach us Lyran language and not anything more useful?
Would you like my input, or is this just the question that's going on?
If you have a good answer, of course.
Well, personally, I am intrigued by the whole idea of alien languages being taught in the group and practiced in the group, just because we aren't understanding them. I'm not sure why you're specifically picking out Lyran as not useful.
Because they didn't explain us the words of other languages, and they picked Lyran and started giving us the meanings of different words. So it's like become the real language.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
I wasn't too, but
because they are more connected with the human beings. Because they have more clear DNA with the human beings. And because it's very close, that the language will be most known on Earth.
Thank you, Dina.
You're welcome.
All right, my kids are starting to misbehave. I need to wrap up. So my answer is, there are many answers, but first, Prana, you're saying that after the contact, things will become miraculous, telepathy will come, and they will give us a lot of...
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if we, like going to the colonies now, if we are practicing telepathy, and, like the people that are speaking the language, they are downloading the languages themselves and just starting speaking because they were not being taught word by word, right? We are just speaking the language automatically. If that is the case, why do we need to learn the language, like, for example, the Lyrian, or it could be any other languages, but since we are learning Lyrian, I'm just taking that as an example, why are we learning that word by word? When we can speak automatically just speaking it, you know. And I'm not saying it's not useful. I'm just wondering what was the intention, what was the reason behind it, not the intention.
All right. So
because you are the first at learning, it's not appropriate, and it's going to be a very
right. But when the contact happens, we the ones who are here in the human colony or learning all these languages telepathically, or just downloading it, we would get that information telepathically, already. We wouldn't be connecting. They won't be just saying in their language, learn language, something to us, and then we translate that to English. That's my point. It's just curiosity. It's not that I am against it. It's great. I'm just wondering why, because we already are learning the language, then why can't we just translate it automatically also? That was the question.
It's impossible that I can give you right now the whole things that you need. There is a time that will come. You may not be here, but some will. You need to be patient. Just wait.
Sure. Yes, I understand.
I think Zeta is now channeling a Lyran. It's not Zena speaking, it's a Lyran.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
All right.
There's a Lyran coming through.
I will give simple answers. First, it looks like the plan for the first contact is very limited right now. I think they're discussing just to let know the humans unequivocally, not questionable, very certain proof that they're around here, they exist, but not influence much more. That's, I think, is the, maybe they will outline their intentions, but then they will let humans digest it. I think that's the plan for now. They don't want to be really taking control of the humanity or influencing it in any way. They will allow humanity to make its own mind. So the chance that they will start open contact and they will flood us with telepathic information, it is possible, but I don't think it is the main plan. So hoping that it will happen is nice, but I don't think it's guaranteed. I think the chances are not very high that it will happen. It would be nice, of course, just to be flooded with positive information. We will see how it happens. Second, right now they are acting under very limited rules. They basically are still dealing with us as with primitive civilization. They use that, how do you call it? I forgot the word. Where you're non-involvement, how do you call it? That is a principle in Star Trek, the principle of non-involvement. Basically, they're not allowed to give us. Как называется право не вмешательства в Стартреке, что типа нельзя с цивилизацией вмешиваться? Prime Directive? Yeah, Prime Directive. It's called Prime Directive in Star Trek. So basically, they are allowed to give us a little bit miracles here and there, to boost our interest, to boost our beliefs into a good future, to push us gently towards good direction. But it has to be our choice. They are not permitted to give us any solid proof, unequivocal solid proof of their existence. So that's why they do channelings, which can be very easily dismissed. And now, luckily, they give us languages which are amazing miracle. The fact that a group can speak language and they can transmit information back and forth, they speak the same language, is a miracle by itself. But it can be dismissed by others because there is no specific test here. You cannot say, Sabrina, I give you these numbers, say that in Lyran to Zena, and Zena will translate. They refuse to do that. We tried this experiment, and we weren't given that proof. They kind of messed up the numbers, and basically the proof didn't come through. It would be nice, but it didn't happen. So this language is primarily just to show us wonderful world outside and give us a glimpse, and to the believers give something more exciting. But moreover, when a person starts speaking the language which is downloaded, it is a channel for channeling. So it's kind of a little tiny flow, which when you speak, you kind of, they do their part, but also you do your part. When you start speaking and practicing, you develop this channel, and your free will is included. Basically, you show for real your commitment to channeling, as Gabriel did. He asked everyone, please, please, listen to me. I will be channeling for you. I want to speak. And finally, he was given it because he was so adamant in doing that. He wanted that. Really, really, really wanted it. So this, also for the aliens, it's very difficult to induce channeling in us without damaging us. But our brain is such a mess. When we start speaking the language, for them, they can send a pattern and see that pattern physically becoming a language. And when they see this pattern in the brain, transdimensional, they send transdimensional message, but that becomes something physical which you pronounce, electric impulses, mechanical movements. They can see it transdimensionally. They can trace it within the conduits and activate these conduits and help us to develop this channel. So channeling becomes a real circuit, like a radio system with certain circuits in the brain, which stars communicate transdimensionally. So it takes communication in both directions. Now they give us the words, which is hooray, that's wonderful. Finally, they give us the meanings of the words. And that gives us another opportunity to learn the language, as we Earth humans do, word by word, start speaking in it, and then it will again be used to open the true channel of communication, because it's a channel in transdimensional communication, telepathic communication with aliens. I hope that answers all the questions of Prana.
Okay. I'd like to make a quick statement.
Yes.
Like Bashar says, it's our choice how we dance down this hall. If we want to do this, we can. If we want to do that, we can. It's this and that, you know? So there's so many possibilities out there. We're just creating it right here, right now, you know?
Yes.
I'm not too much with the whys and more with the trust I go with, personally. And that's my statement.
Thank you.
Thank you. Zena, do you have anything to add?
Asha Katira?
I just heard it's I know I'm totally connected, but it's he just said that the channeling, it's more softly connection than whatever you said. No. They're just trying to go more softly because they don't want to interfere.
Yes.
Interbreak.
Yes. Intrude.
Yes. He cannot find the word.
Yes. Break in, intrude. Yes.
Yeah, and it's a Sasani.
Huh.
Okay.
So, if I may,
Yahyel, he said there is I was listening about the eyes that you were saying about eyes of
yes,
grace and connection of Yahyel's. What I understood, he said that the connection, it's not that clear, that it's most of unknown. And is there a species like kralk or something like that?
I know grail greys, but I don't know kralk. Grail greys, I heard about them.
There is some gray species.
Okay. Thank you. Prana, do you have anything to discuss on that question? I want to wrap up, but I felt
sure.
that you...
Go ahead and wrap up. You know, I mean, go ahead and wrap up. That's fine.
But if you want anything else, I would. We can continue for a few more minutes.
I have one quick.
I like your questions. Your questions are pretty logical.
Sure.
Thank you. Go ahead, Stephen.
Oh, thank you. So, what do you guys think about labeling? Okay, so I just heard you speak about the Lyran language, and this seems to me, when I translate it, like the language of Helios, like any being from the star Helios would speak the same language. It seems kind of ludicrous. Like Lyra is a star, right?
Oh, yeah, Lyra is a star and Lyrans
Constellation.
Constellation. So,
Yeah, sorry,
like
yes.
when we say the Lyran language, I assume there's billions of points of awareness from that star system. Is there one language they call Lyran and then they all have their own? Or is this a specific species and civilization and country and town? Like, you know, our language differs so much from city to city, continent to continent, nation to nation. So I just wonder, when we say the Lyran language, what is it we're talking about?
They have differences too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
between
are
languages.
like Jews and gypsies. They lost their home. The home was destroyed, and it was spread over the galaxy. So they keep their original language, and then there is a lot of variations of that. But they kind of they are the first humans in the galaxy, and that's why Lyran language is kind of as most fundamental language to any humans, including us.
Oh, interesting. Okay, thank you.
Also, they had a history on the Earth, so they've had races on the Earth in our past that we have now discovering. So there is aspects of their language still remnant in some of our own.
Do you know that actually? Do you know that actually the government has, the U.S. government has categorized gypsies as aliens?
Yes.
Which aliens? I just wonder. Yes, which aliens? It would be interesting to find out.
It's because they are not born. They are not born into the, let's say.
They are Pleiadian.
Oh, thank you.
They are Pleiadian, he said.
There is a legend in Gypsies, very powerful one, of the earth, of the land of Ramallah or Ramana, mostly Ramallah.
Ramallah, yeah, Ramallah.
Oh.
So what is that? Is it a Pleiadian star or something?
I don't have the answer for that. I don't know. Maybe Z, if you are connecting.
What? I did not hear that clearly.
Oh, so Gypsies believe that they come from homeland called Ramana. Is it a star or planet?
No. It's a Romania.
Romanian.
Oh, okay.
Romania.
Romany.
All right. All right. I need to wrap up. Time for kids to go to bed. Does anyone have a blessing for us?
Sabrina?
We are always blessed.
Yes.
Blessed with each other.
Hello, everyone. How you doing, Max?
Hi.
Hi.
Hi,
Max.
Stephen.
How you doing?
Tired, but happy that I had such a nice company for my reading. I'm so thankful that you joined and you discussed in a very meaningful way.
Definitely. Enjoy all y'all's company.
We can give you a short blessing.
Thank
I
you.
would like to. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye, everybody. Have a good night, whoever is in my time zone, and have a good rest of the day, whoever is not in my time zone.
Good night, Max.
Thanks for the hangout.
Good
Night,
night,
Max.
Max.
Much love.
Good night. Peace.